Um, I'm Angela Cardi. I'm the principal at Grafton.
I'm Lynn Morgan, representing representative from Athens.
Krista Gay, representative from Athens.
Okay, Artie Merrill from Grafton.
Rachel Plummer, Grafton.
Kathy Stiano Goodwin from Grafton.
Yes. I'm just going to plug this in so we don't lose it. That would be. I'm Sarah Doran, Director of After School Programs for the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Unit.
Any adjustments to the agenda? Any communications and public comment? We need to approve the minutes of August 24th. That's when we hired our music teacher. Any corrections or additions to those minutes? I didn't have it.
I move that we approve the minutes of
I had a correction.
2023.
Lynn?
It says motion made by Hardy Merrill to appoint Jesse Peters as much teacher. We should probably change that to music.
So can we approve the minutes with that correction? Get the motion from Hardy?
Yes. Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lynn?
Aye.
Krista?
I abstain. I wasn't there.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, the minutes of August 24th are approved. We have reports. So we have a report on an update on the ESSER funds.
Okay.
I don't have it.
I just have the financials that were sent out, and I think that they're working on updating all the ESSER funds and spending. I know that's been requested from other boards, and that's something that they're working on to update.
I think they said at our meeting yesterday that they would be ready tomorrow, but we'll see. And I noticed that some other financial documents were sent out to people. I quickly have looked at them, but the important thing here is that this is how we will be looking at expenses throughout the year. This is a new system, the Tyler system, that has been approved by the district. And on the first column is the budget. And the important thing is to go all the way to the bottom. And I looked at it and it ties out to what we had warned the town and they town approved for spending. So that's the important thing. The next column tells you what's been spent this month. The next column is what's been spent year to date. And that leaves a balance. And then they have put in what they know will be coming throughout the whole year, which basically in salaries, they know what the salaries are for everybody at this point in time. And then that leaves a budget balance. So this will be updated, my understanding, every month that we have a meeting, and we will be able to review it. So that's the spending portion. There's one for revenue. And I looked at the revenue and basically it says $1,575,000, which is less than what the budget is. But if you remember, we warned and the town approved $155,237, which was coming out of our surpluses. One of the surpluses is what we have, and the other surplus is what we're going to be getting from the WNSU, which actually is going to be a little bit more than what we were thinking originally. Going to be 100,000. Here is that number. Going to be $100,788. So it's up about 20,000. What we were looking at from the originally bid budget and submitted it to the town. So that's basically it for today. And we still do have about surpluses totaling about $800,000 at this point in time, without the 75 and the WNUESD.
Any questions from anyone? Did that include our 25% of the transportation cost?
Yes. Well, no, not 25%. I don't know that we're getting 25%.
For the bus, for the seat of the bus.
It didn't come up yet at the finance meeting, so I don't know the answer to that question.
If there's no questions on finance, Angela, principal's report.
Yes, hi everyone. So I'll start with enrollment. Our enrollment is at 31. There are 10 students in Athens, 19 in Grafton, and 2 in Westminster. Just an update on our playground. The materials have been ordered. The benches have arrived. You probably saw them out on the sidewalk. They just need to be assembled. And the playground materials are expected to arrive in January, and then installation can happen as soon as the snow melts. Ivor also removed the parallel metal bars outside at the request of Nurse Desi. Lots of kids were getting hurt on there, so we just took those out. It was something from an old piece of equipment many years ago. As far as staffing goes, we are fully staffed. The new staff that we've welcomed this year have seemed to settle in really nicely. I feel that we're truly fortunate to have been able to bring on such talented and passionate educators this year. And then, of course, our staff that has remained at Grafton are also phenomenal. And I feel like we have a really great team moving forward. After school programs, I did have a little thing, just that we did send out a survey today. And Sarah, I know we'll talk about this in more depth. But once we have the survey results back, we can move forward with coming up with a plan for some after school care. We have our open house on Tuesday, September 26th, from 5 to 6 p.m. We're going to have some cookies, hopefully a fresh milk tasting. We're going to have a farm to school table. The hygienist who does some of our dental cleanings at school is also going to come and set up a table and be available to talk to families. And then, of course, our PTO will set up a table. Many of you have probably seen the article in the Reformer and heard about our new milk program to pilot some bulk organic milk. And this is happening at Grafton. It's a little bit different than a big metal dispenser. We're using thermal insulated jugs. The milk stays cold for up to 4 hours. So we've been working on implementing that. The kids really seem to love the milk. Harley makes the chocolate milk. It's like homemade with cocoa powder and maple syrup. So that's really delicious. There's the insulated jugs are in every classroom every morning, and the kids can pour themselves a glass of milk or pour it into their cereal. And then it's a very similar thing at lunchtime, except those thermal containers are in the cafeteria space. Little
Angela,
update. Yeah.
who's the provider for the milk? Is it a local?
Miller Farm in Vernon, Vermont. I could go into like a lot of detail about the milk, but I don't think we all want to be here for a long time. But
Okay.
it's a really interesting concept about how much work it takes to make milk skim, and the chocolate milk by regs has to be skim because then you add that other sugar content. And then the white milk is 1%, and it just takes a lot more, and it's not worth it oftentimes to farmers to provide that milk to schools in bulk, but they're trying it out at this farm.
Are all the schools doing it or just Grafton?
No, I think I know Central is, I know Westminster is, we are, Saxons River is. I think the high school, I'm not sure about the middle school. But it might be throughout. I'm not sure. I don't know. Nicole, do you know?
I don't know. I do know that they've done a program at Central and Westminster, so I think they're making their rounds.
Yep. And then Saxons River and Grafton have, I think, a similar model, just because we don't have the big metal dispensers. Just it's not necessary. So, but the milk is really, you can really taste the difference. And it stays, we're actually noticing that. So there's less cardboard waste from the milk jugs themselves. And then lots of times the kids just take a couple sips of milk from the carton and then throw it away. But I think they can see the milk. And I think just, seeing it makes you drink more of it. It tastes more like milk. Like it tastes very different. And it's very good. And the kids are wasting less because they just take what they want to drink. And then if they're still thirsty or they need a little bit more, they can just pour another sip. So it's really cool to get them on board with not wasting. And then our PTO is doing the fireman sale on October 7th from 7:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. There is a sign up genius. It's on the newsletter. And where they're looking for baked goods, soups, lots of paper products and drinks. The full list is available on that sign up genius. So folks are encouraged to sign up for that. We have our fall flower sale. There is a order form on the newsletter, or there's also some order forms in the office if you need one. Our students were really working on our values with our students, being kind, safe, persevering, and caring for their community. And when students demonstrate one or more of these values, they're given a little plastic panther paw token. There's a jar right outside of Sarah's office. When you leave, you can check it out. And so there's jars in every classroom, and the students receive a paw, and it goes into a jar in their classroom that then gets dumped into our school jar. And when a classroom jar gets full or the school jar, we celebrate. And so we had an ice cream truck, and then we recently had a tea party. Miss Tracy and Nurse Desi took a cart around each class and served hot tea and iced tea, and they were given a little honey lollipop to dip in their tea. It was really, really a blast for everybody. And that's it.
Any questions for me? Thank you, Angela. Sounds like you're off to a great start.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited.
Old business, after school programs, staffing and other plans.
That's me.
That's you.
Again, Sarah Doran, Director of After School Programs. I wanted to start this evening just by kind of giving a little bit of a history of what I know of the after school programs that have kind of come on. So in 2020, Grafton, along with Westminster, was part of a 21C after school funding program. Grafton was awarded around $80,000 a year for 5 years. For that model for 21C, for after school programs, you have a site coordinator who's here on site, who's kind of in charge of like the day-to-day operations, along with a couple of different club leaders. And that's the general model. And in addition to that, there's federal and state reporting. There is program quality assessments through the state, and then possible site visits. So that's just like something to be aware of, like that's how 21C works. when I came on, let's see, in April 22, the program through 21C had been running, I believe, about almost 2 years. There was a site coordinator in place that had left in February. Angela had come on and kind of kept the programs going on in the spring, which is when I arrived. So she was keeping the after school programs going at that point. Let's see, that summer, Grafton students were funded through separate grant money to be part of the summer programs. Then we're moving into the next, wait, let me just make sure I cover everything. No, we didn't. I haven't done. I promise I'll get there. So yeah, let me flip forward. Okay. So after the summer, coming into this, so in the fall, I attempted to recruit and hire after school program staff according to the 21C model with the site coordinator. Angela and I did have one interview last fall. That person didn't end up taking the position. And again, we're trying to follow the 21C plan and how it's supposed to roll out. Throughout the year, I was in touch with Angela. I also had regular meetings with the state rep for 21C about an action plan, making sure like we were continuing to try to make it work. And those again included, our interview. I reached out to outside contractors to see if we did get programs going, could they come, like the Grafton Nature Museum said they were on board. The Main Street Arts was a maybe. Grafton Library was a no. And then from there, Angela, and sometimes I even met with the superintendent as well, just talking about the plan and how we would move forward. With all this in mind, we knew that if we didn't get a program going, it was the possibility of losing the funding from 21C was going to happen. In the winter, we sent out a family survey, just trying to get a sense of what people wanted. There were some choices that at the time that we offered, like, could it be extended care? Could it be enrichment programs similar to what the 21C model should be? And again, so we got responses to that. We had about 14 responses out of, I think maybe the enrollment maybe was around 36 last year. And then in early spring, we had this information, but again, we didn't have potential staff to follow what 21C required. And then in May, the allocation from 21C was revoked because we were unable to provide that the way it was supposed to work. In May, I started meeting with, I need to back up and kind of share one detail. So when you are a 21C site, you can't participate in people from other programs, like funded by ESSER and museums, example, can't come to your programs and vice versa. It needs to be like within your school. So that was also something that impacted things. But once we knew that the 21C funding was gone, I started looking at like, well, could we in fact send Grafton kids to Athens Grafton? So I started meeting with their site coordinator there. I met with the principal there, and I met with Angela. And we worked through some kinks that we thought might kind of make it tricky. That was our plan. Moving the spring, we were going to move into that process where kids would be going from here right after school to Athens River in late July, August. I found out that the transportation from here to Athens River was going to take about 45 minutes, which meant that the kids would miss movement and snack meal. And they would arrive about when a club officially starts, which is when either a club leader from within the school provides a club, or we have Main Street Arts or an outside contractor come in, and it's 45 minutes. We felt like that wasn't fair to the kids that were on the bus. It was going to be really tough to try and get them in without having had food and like have them kind of join into the group. So we found that out pretty late in the year. In addition, just a side note, as we're talking, I do want to mention also that all Wyndham Northeast Lake bus transportation system is no longer fees after school or sports. So that was another piece that we found out. Just find my spot. So here's where we are now. Angela and I have met a couple times. We decided to do another survey And I was just able to figure out how to find some additional funds to help cover if we were to provide a model that would it would be really basic. I basically am thinking of it as extended after school care. It would include snack, outdoor movement, and some games or crafts or something like that. And what that would mean is I would need to find 2 people that were willing to come on. We would need around 13 or 14 kids to sign up. We would try and offer it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And with that model in mind, again, I secured some grant funds to try and cover 2 people plus benefits and some supplies. The food and snack piece, we'll have to figure that out too. But that's like where I've been working on it piece by piece. This is where we kind of landed. We did send out a survey that reflected this to families today. And it basically, it said, if we find that GES has enough student interest, and if we can find the appropriate staff to support the number of students who would like to participate, GES extended after school care could run from 3:15 to 4:45, Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It would include snack, outdoor playtime, crafts, games, etc. Your student would sign up and stay until 4:45. Late bus transportation is not available to any of Northeast after school programs. Families would need to pick their students up promptly at 4:45, and this extended care option is free of charge this school year and is funded through ESSER. So that's where we're at. I did peek at the survey quickly this afternoon. I had 7 kids that were interested, not necessarily on all the days. So that's like another piece of it too. Like if it seems like there's enough kids to cover 2 out of the 3 days, we would have to look at that too. And in addition to that, I need to find the staff that are willing to work from 3 to 5 on those days, plus some additional admin, because you definitely still need someone figuring out like just the basic logistics of having the kids here for some extended hours. So there's some pieces that need to fall into place. But I am excited that I was able to find some funding to maybe come up with something in the middle. And then moving forward for next year, my understanding is there will be funds to cover summer programming for Grafton students. And as we're falling into budget season, really starting to consider looking at if Grafton wants to continue to have a program and what it looks like, the budget will look different according to that, and if there are local funds to cover that. And then, you know, if it was a full like spectrum where you had contractors like Grafton Nature Museum and you had a site coordinator that was managing everything, and I always have to consider the student needs a nurse in addition to the staff that I hire. So that sometimes can be something you have to work in. Maybe you don't have to spend it, but have to consider it. But it's around that $80,000, which is what essentially 21C thought it would take to run a program. So that's a full-blown program. And then if we get to a point where you guys are talking about budgets and you want to consider funding it in a different way, we have other options. So that's my long version.
So it's 80,000 for the whole year for.
That's around 35 weeks. 5 days a week. Again, with that enrollment being enough to have staff on. And that covers like a site coordinator, a couple of club leaders, contractors, which like Grafton Nature Museum, possible nurse, salaries, benefits, supplies. So it's around where 21C is supporting Grafton too. So kind of peeked at it really quick today. Angela, did I forget anything? I just want to make sure I covered everything.
I think you got it all. Thank you.
In other programs, are you having trouble hiring people?
Not the same way as here. I would say when I first came on, it was a little challenging in some of the sites, but I had a lot of returning staff this year. It's great. And I'm starting to really build up some folks that come in, not necessarily for the whole year, but maybe for right now I run 4 sessions per year. And I'm finding that there's more people that are like, oh, I want to do woodworking for one session. So I'm starting to get that kind of involvement too. Like I have the core staff, and then we're really starting to be able to build that up, which is great. And the other piece that I forgot to mention with that, like we did a full blown that I believe as well do some kind of tutoring, which for formal tutoring you do need a license. If you wanted to do some kind of homework club, that might look a little different. But
Used to have homework club.
yeah.
Where are we advertising?
Last year when I was trying to do the 21C, I had it on it was flip floppies, spring school or school spring. Thank you. See, I do it every time. I also came here during a staff meeting to see if staff were interested. And then there was a few people that I knew in Grafton that kind of had like school age kids that I reached out to, and I was like, hey, do you know of anyone? I reached out to people in Chester that I knew that were kind of I knew had done after school program in the past. So that's how it started last year.
How about the community?
In what way?
Hiring some people.
I would be open. Yeah, 100%. I have.
Publish it in the Grafton News or Grafton Weekly.
Yeah.
School Weekly.
We
See if
do.
there's any parents involved or
Yes.
that have done it in the past.
There was a couple years we didn't have a grant. I've had kids in the school
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like 13
I love your
years.
history.
I know there's at least one year where we didn't have any grant funding.
Yeah.
And it was all volunteers. It was all,
nice.
I mean, I'm sure the staff, I don't know how that worked out, but as far as like people running the different things, it was community members that were volunteering.
Sure.
So
Right.
energy or people have time, but that might be an option.
Sure. And one of the things on both surveys, the one that I did last spring and sent out, and the one that I sent out today, I do include a piece of like, would you be interested in working? And a few people are like, yeah, I would consider it. So it's out there, and I do, and the other schools hire people that do not work in the school system, which is a huge, like, it's a huge bonus. Like, I love having a variety of folks, either from the community or from the school.
What about, there was a mention that about opening it up to like high schools, community service, or even, you know, I don't know if they would be able to help like get a paid position, but if that was possible, that might be a cool that you might be able to get here. They would have the 5 hours a week or whatever, as opposed to someone else. It's a hard sell to drive out here.
It really works out, and even when you don't have to drive, say like these 2 hours, or it's sometimes 2 hours on top of your work day.
Yeah.
And I did just hire someone from the high school. She worked for me this summer, and she loved it so much that she said, the one challenge with high school kids is like, how can we do it right? That's always my like one
Right.
piece.
Well, I mean, there's that, you know.
Right. So I appreciate all the suggestions, and I would like something.
So at this point, do you have any staff members here?
We have not reached out to staff yet this year because I had to change from the kids going to Saxon's River to trying to figure out where I could find some funding to try and staff here. So I have not.
I will say that there are some staff that are interested. I mean, the thing that really held us back last year was the coordinator. That was a bigger commitment that staff, there just was nobody that wanted to take that on. But I think probably it being 3 days a week, we could staff it with 2 adults for those 3 days. I know that, you know, it's just, we've just kind of been chatting about it. Everybody knows it's out there. And then it's also worth like thinking about, if there's, you know, only 8 kids, are we going to spend the funds on that? You know, it's like, how do we, like, what's sort of our threshold? Like, what's our minimum number?
I think
for holding a program.
speaking as a parent, once the fall sports are over, you'll have a lot more kids. So like mid-October, I know my daughter will be down to just one day a week where she's not busy, and there's a lot of kids play fall sports. So I think the winter.
Right, and that's why the survey has different seasons, so we would know that people would sign up in the winter and not the fall if that was the case.
Yeah, that's so valid, it's so true. There was something else I was gonna add. Oh, I did want to just also mention too, the other after school programs, they just started this week, like in three schools. A fourth school, Saxon's River, isn't starting until October for other reasons. So just know it's not like you're being left behind. It's been a consideration.
Sounds like there's less restriction.
Well, there is.
Not
There
every
is.
kids are the same.
Right, because there is definitely less restrictions, but again, like, we'll have to find the right staff that also can take on some admin responsibilities in addition to the hours, because it does take some.
Lynn? Lynn, go ahead.
I was wondering if it would be at all helpful if we had a write-up for the coordinator, what that entailed. And we could get it, that information out to the general public in Athens and Grafton and see if we don't have somebody that would like to do it. Because I know the Saxons River coordinator is a woman from Athens. And so I'm wondering if we had that information, we could get it out in our newsletters. If maybe we might be able to get someone.
We don't have the funding to hire a 20-hour coordinator at this point.
Oh, okay.
We have the funding that I was able to find would cover 2 people basically coming on for a couple of days and then some admin time, but not necessarily a coordinator this time.
Okay.
Happen futuristically, and yes, to get it out to the public.
I thought about the food snack issue. Maybe between you and Angela, possibly a coach PTO, about that for some assistance. I can't say that would definitely happen, but
And it may be possible, like, I need to, this has been kind of like happening quickly, like I said, I just found out the funds. So it may be possible that it's covered too for the district, I'm not sure. So that's something that is on my list, but I like that idea.
I'm just a little confused on if I thought we were saying earlier that we needed a coordinator to be able to do this. So how do we do it without a coordinator?
That was with the 21C, Lynn, last year.
Oh,
We
okay.
needed to have a coordinator, but now we're not working off of those funds. So we're not like bound to that person. So right now, this funding that Sarah's talking about is coming from ESSER, and it's for 2 staff members, like 2 adults, and
Okay.
then like some admin, just like, someone's got to keep attendance and like do some record keeping about, what's going on at the program.
And in addition to that, Lynn, it also like there aren't necessarily funds for tutoring or home, you guys call it homework club, and bringing on outside contractors. Like it's not built that way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. That's updated.
Yeah.
And when will we know about the survey results?
Well, we just went out today. Angela, what do you think about the survey results? Like, you know your community really well. Like, what's an ample amount of time to keep it open?
I think it should at least go out in the newsletter. It is on Remind, so everyone has seen it. But maybe we could put a deadline of like mid next week. That way we can communicate the survey results at the end of the week. I mean, what do you that seems like enough time?
Yeah, I mean, you know your community well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking to maybe make sure that everybody had input, then that might happen at open house on the 26th. But like the more time that we wait, then, you know, the longer if we want to wait, you know.
I can also, just thought of this, in addition to the school newsletter, I can also put in a request to put it out on Grafton's Facebook page. But then it's like an more open.
I mean, but everybody got it because it's on Remind and 100% of our families are connected to it. So like it reached the people it needed to reach. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a matter of it not reaching. It might be like, I wonder if we could get the, maybe like get the survey on paper and send it home too. And then that way people can respond that way as well. I can work on that.
Maybe if we feel like you'll be able to see the list, you feel like there's people we haven't reached, we could also like figure out who those people are and I can send them a survey myself or something like that too.
Yeah. Yep.
So we have some plans to be determined when exactly we'll have the survey results, but pretty soon.
Thank you for all your effort. Vacancy of the board member for Athens seat. Krista, have you heard from anything from the lady that was interested?
No, I had thought she was gonna reach out to, my understanding had been that she'd been interested, but I sent a communication last month to reach out to Andy. And I guess that hasn't happened.
Can I speak, Kathy?
Yeah.
She did reach out to me asking.
Oh, okay.
To submit, and I responded and just told her, you know, what she would submit, and then I would forward it to Kathy. I hadn't heard from her, so I did respond to her tonight and copied Kathy on the communication, so maybe she'll be on the agenda for next time. That's the only person I had reach out to me regarding the open position for Athens.
Yes, I do want to say that I do believe that she is in Paris right now because I'm on another committee. And I just wanted to point that out. So I'm glad that she reached out to you, Nicole.
Okay. Do you have any idea, Krista, when she'll be back in country?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Well, we can continue to put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
See if she has a response. Well, thanks, Krista. Lynn.
I'm continuing to put it into the Athenian that we do need somebody, so hopefully somebody will read that and get interested.
Yeah.
But I have not heard of anybody talking to me about it at all.
Thank you, Lynn, for putting it in the Athenian. That's good news.
Thank you.
People.
We'll keep trying.
Okay, thanks. We did have a question, and this came from our community forum way back. The last one, people interested in knowing more about tuition details, and especially for the 7th and 8th grade choice and what the tuition rate is. Did not hear back from Andy on this, when we're supposed to establish that rate. I don't know if that's a budget thing coming up. How did you know anything about?
I believe it results from the budget and you divide that out with the rate based on.
The other thing that did come up during that tuition was to have deadlines when parents needed to get in touch if they had a school choice, and an information night. I guess Westminster does this each year, and we're going to try to tag team with them. But I don't know the date, so
I guess it's a be for a few months.
I know, but having parents, they want to know.
Well, I don't think they all know the tuition rates for a while either, so.
How do they come up with that tuition? I know we said something about it last year for kids coming into the elementary school.
I don't know. I could sure research that. I don't know about the top.
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Bills, I know what the rates are.
Yes, Krista.
I have two questions. The one is when I was in Grafton, and I know this was almost 20 years ago, we would always have information nights from the this potential school choice schools. Does that no longer happen?
We last year, so there was COVID and we didn't do it.
Oh.
The last year we collaborated with Westminster
Great.
just to have like all just so they didn't have to come, you know, but the feedback at the forum was that people wanted it to be at our school. So I know that this year there's only 3 students.
Yeah.
Last year only a few came to Westminster. So I think this year, given the small number, it would probably just be something more personal, reaching out to the families and seeing what they want and doing what those 3 families would like, as opposed to like, I don't want to invite all these people to come and set up tables if we're not going to have the attendance. I mean,
Yeah, because when I was there like 20 years ago, it was normally like 5th and 6th grade so that families could start thinking about what they were wanting to do the next year. And they came into our class and did presentations, and then there was a follow-up that night. But again, I understand that we had more kids. And then my second question was, what didn't we just set a tuition rate for something involving the middle school like a few months ago? What's the difference? Like, I'm just getting confused because we have
You're muted.
You muted yourself.
Thanks. I said, I'm just confused because I feel like tuitions have come up a lot, and I think I'm getting confused because I know that we had set a tuition for how much it costs to go to Grafton if you're not an Athens Grafton resident. And then I think there was something about a tuition rate for the middle school, and now there's a third tuition rate. Can you just help me understand that?
So my understanding, I wasn't on the board then, but you set the rate of what it costs for students to come here last year.
Right. Yes.
Came up at, and I brought it up before because it came out of the community forum. The middle school charges us more
Right.
than the state minimum, which is what we pay if you're going anywhere else.
Right.
So that was the main issue, is like, if someone wants to go to Green Mountain, we pay the minimum, which apparently is fine with Chester. But if someone wants to go to, say, Putney, to the grammar school, I think, we're only paying the minimum. So there's a difference that family has to come up with. But
Sure.
Middle school, more.
Okay.
Who charge us?
Okay. So we still need to set the rate of how much we're willing to like give a kid to go somewhere. Is that, I'm sorry, I'm just getting really confused by this tuition stuff.
We don't have to, I don't think we have to set that rate completely. It's more of because our budgets are, like, you set your budget already, expecting to pay the minimum or the middle school amount, is what I gathered from Andy talking about it. It would just, if we wanted to change that, we would have to make that decision, and then it would affect our budget.
Okay.
Not necessarily like we need to.
Okay. Thank you.
Krista, I'm super confused too. So you're not one, but but the way that I kind of understand it is that we pay the Bells Falls Middle School more than we pay for a student to go to a different school. And if we want, I think if Grafton Athens wants to pay, like, say, the same amount as for Bells that we pay for Bells Falls, then we would have to put it into our budget to offset that amount. Is that, that's how it is in my head?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what I gathered from Andy talking.
Yeah.
Or we could ask the middle school to let us pay less. I don't know how well that would go over, but
right.
That is always an option.
Good discussion.
Lynn,
Another quick question on that. So we pay less to these other schools. Is that their asking rate, or is that just what we will pay and then the parents have to pay extra to get it up to the rate?
Public schools, we pay, they don't have, what we pay is what they take. I guess.
Okay.
Parents don't have to kick in. It's if you wanted to go somewhere else, like a private.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Like Putney Grammar, or how about, Owen Bell School? Something.
Yeah, that's for high school.
Yeah, the high school,
Well,
it's different, so they do have to pay.
Let's forget. Okay. Any other questions? Community forum, we have it planned for this coming Monday, here at the school. And I'm just wondering, can everybody attend? From the board? And will Andy be able to attend? And Angela, will you be able to attend?
I cannot be there now.
Can you say the date again?
Monday.
Monday,
Okay, great.
Andy's not able to attend.
What time? Sorry, for some reason I don't have it on my calendar. Monday at what time?
6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay.
When we set the date, Andy said that he wasn't available that date, but we decided to move forward with it then.
There's another.
Okay. Kathy, I have on my calendar that it's a select board meeting that night for Grafton. Is it at the same time?
Select board's at 6. Yeah.
And ours is at 6?
Yes.
Okay. Guess you're gonna have to clone yourself.
Well, I'm concerned that Angela's not there and Andy's not gonna be there to answer questions that the board can answer. I'm gonna throw it out. Can we postpone that one to another time, another date? And it was suggested about October. When do we meet again?
Well, my suggestion would be that Angela and Andy set the date, and they can do it, okay, and then let us know whether we can, and we'll see if we can go. We'll probably get at least 3 people.
Right.
I will say I have a lot of staff members that are going to be going, as I didn't intend that I wouldn't be there, and I didn't think that we would postpone it since it's been advertised in lots of places. So when my staff asked what I needed, they all graciously offered to go to the meeting. And I thought that there's no answer that I know that they don't know. So I thought that they could help answer questions, but
Be there.
Yeah,
it's really your call. If you're not comfortable with me not being there, I understand. I can't.
oh, we're gonna,
Point.
Yeah, we're
We
gonna
don't have
listen.
the
We'll just
answer.
listen and take notes, and we can't answer it, we'll pose it to you, Angela and Andy. Lynn, can you be on Zoom for that meeting? Can you be at Zoom? For the community forum. I don't know if you're gonna be here or not.
Talking to me.
Yeah,
I will be there.
Details, right?
okay.
so, I think,
So that's 3 of us.
how about Richard?
I'll ask Ricky to come out and make sure that one's set up.
We need to make sure that.
Yeah, I can't do
Okay?
that.
Yeah.
We need this done right, okay?
I'll definitely make sure.
Who will, Kathy, if you're not there, who will run the meeting?
You know what? I already told my select board that I wasn't gonna be there.
Oh,
It's gonna be
Okay.
here.
okay.
I've already seen the agenda for the select board and I can pass my notes on to them.
Okay.
Krista, can you be on Zoom or at the meeting?
I'll be there.
Great.
Good.
I
Okay.
mean, absent standard caveat, absent some, emergency. I will be there. In person.
Great. All right, so we'll see everybody there at the community forum on that Monday. Lynn, you had a question about the questions from Jack Breyer.
Yeah, had read over the notes from the meeting that we had. I didn't make that last one that just a few came to, but the one before. And I personally don't feel that we have covered them in our meetings. So I didn't know if there was a time that we should cover go over these questions and comments that the community has put out there.
So for the last community forum, I had taken all of those and had all of those topics on the left and all the answers on the right.
I don't
As
think
far as like
that.
progress and such on those. And I believe that we talked about them at the last forum. And then I think I presented about it at a board meeting too.
Okay.
Before it. Should be in the notes from the board meeting right before that forum, I think.
Okay. I'll look back on that and see if I can find them. Thank you.
I can share a document with you too, Lynn, if you want.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, new business, requests for proposals, painting the building and paving the parking lot.
That's me. So Steve Horton, came out with Andy, a couple weeks ago, and we walked around the building and looked at the driveway. And so what he's suggesting, Andy and myself, is that we go out and get some requests for proposal. We send those out as far as painting and then paving. And as far as I understand it, the paving would just be resurfacing, and then painting, there's a few different options, but it looks like Steve is thinking it would be somewhere around 60,000 to paint. He was sort of going around and we were looking at areas that were chipping and bubbling and then areas that weren't, and he was sort of assessing why that may or may not be the case in some areas and not in others.
So does he put the proposals out?
Yes.
Yes, he does that. Does he give you
He
a
would.
timeline?
Say that again.
Timeline?
I mean, we wouldn't paint or reseal in the winter. So I imagine it would be in the spring.
What will happen is Steve will write up the proposal and then I'll post them in Reformer. That way people are aware that they bid on them. Steve will have a due by date and they're usually sent to Steve or Andy. So then what will happen is then they'll come to you. We'll know who bid on it and I do your report.
Those are minimum.
Funds that we would provide.
I believe they're funds from you guys, your local funds, yeah.
So that would be out of our capital fund.
Correct.
That we have in our surplus.
I didn't hear what you said, Hardy, but I think you were asking what the funding source would be.
Yeah, and I think it'll probably come out of our surplus is my guess.
Yep, I believe that's what it would be, just because ESSER is like, you coming back from COVID and painting the building doesn't really fall under that.
Would the resurfacing happen this fall? If we got the bids out?
I think it would probably depend on how quickly the bids are done and they're advertised, and then the board sees them and makes a decision on them. I don't know off the top of my head, like how late you can resurface.
Well,
I don't know.
For our roads, it's November 1st.
Yeah. I also I don't know, once it's all covered in snow, do we want to jam a plow over a freshly resurfaced? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe once it cures, it doesn't really matter. I don't know.
Not sure if it would happen that quick.
I don't think it'll happen that quickly this year.
Yeah.
That's not
I have
encouraged
wishful
for,
thinking,
between
since
now
we've
and
been waiting so
next year.
long.
That's encouraged.
So not driveway, but I had this, it's kind of along the same lines, so a parent brought it up to me that, and I don't know if I think it'd be a town thing and not the school, but if something could be done to where parents park for pickup, it turns to mud because they have to pull off to the side. And then like the snowbank and then the springtime, it turns to like quagmire out here. So I don't know if that's anything that could be on anybody's radar, but
I can bring it up tomorrow. The bids, we have to have 3 bids. Anything
Yeah,
over
they need to have
30,000.
3 bids, and if they don't, then we have to apply for a bid waiver.
But even if you get a bid that's declined, say you can't do it, it still counts.
We get it. We had to apply for bid waivers. People are pretty backed up, because people have said that they are backed up, so they're not going to.
Any other questions on, for new business?
You guys just want to make a motion that we send it out to bid.
Oh. We want to make a motion?
I move that we send the parking lot paving and the painting of the building out to bid.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Krista and me. That's,
Aye.
Director's comments.
I'll start. We're off to a new year. We had a finance committee meeting yesterday, and the WNSU will be developing their budget, start developing that. We'll be starting to review things on the 15th of October, roughly. And so the process will be starting here as well, moving forward. And we'll go on from there. And after reading the newsletters of the last couple of weeks, everything looks great. Angela, you're doing a great job. Very pleased to see all of the things you guys are doing. It's really a great thing.
not follow it up. I really appreciate Sarah being here and explaining all that has been going on. It's nice that parents may not know, their impression of what's happening isn't necessarily what's happening, and it's nice to hear that. So thank you.
I have to ditto what everybody said so far. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And I'm excited when I see the Grafton school newsletter, what the kids are doing. And it's great to hear from you, Angela, that the staff is happy and you're working as a smooth team. So that's positive for everybody, especially for the kids, for the community. Lynn, any comments?
Just ditto what all have said. It's been a helpful meeting. Thank you for answering these questions, and the newsletters again have been very pleasant to read. Exciting. Thank you.
Krista?
Just that I've been having to watch some other board meetings, and every time I do that, it makes me so grateful to work with this group of people, who really put the kids first. And, I think we only have productive conversations, and I don't think we could have asked for a better group. And the more board meetings I watch, the more I'm so thankful for all of you. So thanks for being such great colleagues here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. So our next meeting, October 12th, at 6 p.m. And one of the agenda items will be the budget. And Nicole's really good about updating me on what's the next steps are. Need a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye. Good night.
And have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks for hanging in there, everybody.
Thank you for the use of your